Hello friends, you are on the channel Quotes of Great Men. Enjoy watching. Nobody can spare themselves the waiting, and most will be unable to bear this torment, but will throw themselves with greed back at men, things, and thoughts, whose slaves they will become. If your virtues hinder you from salvation, discard them, since they have become evil to you. The slave to virtue finds the way as little as the slave to vices. Where there is a will, there is a way. There is good reason for supposing that the archetypes are the unconscious images of the instincts themselves. In other words, that they are patterns of instinctual behavior. In spite of our proud domination of nature, we are still her victims, for we have not even learned to control our nature. Our psyche is part of nature, and its enigma is as limitless. But we must not forget that only a very few people are artists in life, that the art of life is the most distinguished and rarest of all the arts. Whoever succeeded in draining the whole cup with grace? Seek the coldness of the moon, and ye shall find the heat of the sun. For as soon as psychotherapy requires the self-perfecting of the doctor, it is freed from its clinical origins and ceases to be a mere method for treating the sick. It is now of service to the healthy as well. The underlying, primary psychic reality is so inconceivably complex that it can be grasped only at the farthest reach of intuition, and then but very dimly. That is why it needs symbols. There is, after all, no harsher bitterness than that of a person who is his own worst enemy. We are so captivated by and entangled in our subjective consciousness that we have forgotten the age-old fact that God speaks chiefly through dreams and visions. Hidden in our problems is a bit of still undeveloped personality, a precious fragment of the psyche. Without this, we face resignation, bitterness, and everything else that is hostile to life. Anyone who perceives his shadow and his light simultaneously sees himself from two sides and thus gets in the middle. It is the face of his own evil shadow that grins at Western man from the other side of the Iron Curtain. Real life is always tragic, and those who do not know this have never lived. Our past thinking has determined our present status, and our present thinking will determine our future status, for man is what man thinks. The ideas of the moral order and of God belong to the ineradicable substrate of the human soul. I had to follow the ineradicable foolishness which furnishes the steps to true wisdom. Myths, however, consist of symbols that were not invented but happened. The dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the psyche, opening into that cosmic night which was psyche long before there was any ego consciousness. But again and again I note that the individuation process is confused with the coming of the ego into consciousness, and that the ego is in consequence identified with the self, which naturally produces a hopeless conceptual muddle. Dreams are, after all, compensations for the conscious attitude. Our biggest problems cannot be resolved. They must be outgrown. Do you believe, man of this time, that laughter is lower than worship? Where's your measure, false measurer? The sum of life decides in laughter and in worship, not your judgment. In order to compensate for its chaotic formlessness, a mass always produces a leader who almost infallibly becomes the victim of his own inflated ego consciousness, as numerous examples in history show. Everyone you meet knows something you don't know but need to know. Learn from them. Only in our creative acts do we step forth into the light and see ourselves whole and complete. A sane and normal society is one in which people habitually disagree, because general agreement is relatively rare outside the sphere of instinctive human qualities. Outward circumstances are no substitute for inner experience. Belief is no adequate substitute for inner experience, and where this is absent, even a strong faith which came miraculously as a gift of grace may depart equally miraculously. People. Fascination arises when the unconscious has been moved. I had to let myself be carried along by the current without a notion of where it would lead me. Everyone has in him something of the criminal, the genius, and the saint. A sense of a wider meaning to one's existence is what raises a man beyond mere getting and spending. If he lacks this sense, he is lost and miserable. Whoever looks from inside knows that everything is new. At that time I was still in that childlike state where life consists of single, unrelated experiences. Anyone who takes the sure road is as good as dead. School came to bore me. It took up far too much time, which I would rather have spent drawing battles and playing with fire. Thanks for watching. Check out these educational videos too.